Hey everybody, about to make the toughest video that I've ever shot so far in my short vlogging journey. One of the toughest things has been for me in making these videos is putting the camera directly in front of me and speaking directly into it. I do much better when I'm walking on a trail and occasionally look at the camera. To start things off, I do want to apologize to everybody for not producing this video a little earlier than I had done. I did post a channel announcement on my community tab on my YouTube channel here a few days ago, and I thought everyone was going to be notified to that, and unfortunately I think probably the majority of my subscribers were not informed of that. So I figured I'd follow it up with a video with some details as to how I ended up putting my 2020 thru hike on hold. I am not finished just yet, but considering everything that's going on in this crazy world right now, it was definitely time to come home and take a short break from all of this. I am home. I have returned to my home state of Pennsylvania. I've been home with my family. Today's date is March the 26th, just to give you an idea. My videos in the past have always been delayed, and I actually began my journey home last Wednesday, which was March the 18th, the day after St. Patrick's Day. So I wanted to take this opportunity to make this video and explain why I chose to come home and suspend my thru hike. I'm not injured. I have not chosen to end my thru hike. I'm not calling it quits. But again, considering everything that's going on in this world, and I even hate to say the words because I don't want it to be a part of my hike, but the reality of it is the coronavirus that has basically infected the entire world. So I wanted to go ahead and give you an idea of what was going through my head as I was out on a trail and making miles, pushing north. And for those of you who have been out there, it's real easy to become a little disconnected with what's going on. I hate to use the term the real world because for me, the trail was my real world. So when I began my journey on February the 16th, the term COVID-19 or the coronavirus was such a distant thought from everybody's mind, and I began my journey to Georgia. Started my journey February 16th on Springer Mountain, and from that point forward I rarely heard that term again because I was busy hiking, putting in miles, and sadly with cell phone service out there I rarely had the opportunity to get on social media, so I really wasn't exposed to a lot of the news that was going on. So fast forward to I'll say St. Patrick's Day. Or actually, let me back up just a little bit. We came in to Hot Springs, North Carolina, and that's when the buzz really began. We had come into town. We had stayed at Sunnybrook Inn, which is Elmer's in Hot Springs, and directly across the street was the Dollar General. So I went ahead to go over to pick up some resupply. Prior to that, I'd had some resupply shipped to me, but I did need to resupply in the town of Hot Springs. Went across the street to Dollar General, standing in line, and I could not help but hear some panic that was going on amongst the shoppers, talking about supplies that were running out, talking about hand sanitizer, toilet paper seemed to be the hottest item and everything. And so I started to listen a little bit, what was going on, because it seemed like folks were alarmed. So came back over to Elmer's, talked to some other hikers, had a chance to get online, start seeing some news, ample opportunity to talk to folks at home. So there was a buzz. We had enjoyed some time in Hot Springs, and we thought, okay, well, maybe this still isn't going to affect us, what's going on. So we left Hot Springs and continued north up on the trail, and we did get our resupply. And so then from that point forward, we started to receive messages from home almost on a daily basis. If you recall, I was hiking with Dryker and Random and the Rev, and each day one of us was receiving some type of an announcement from home. I'm from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania shut down restaurants, and I'm thinking that's unprecedented. Of course the drive-thrus were still open, but we're starting to begin to hear more and more shutdowns and things that you just simply didn't have access to anymore. And it got to St. Patrick's Day, and the alarms kept coming. Things kept resonating louder and louder. Made aware that some major cities were starting to impose curfews and things of that nature. Transportation was beginning to be tough. I'd had a friend of mine, Soggy, who had traveled down to the region and was doing a section hike. Come to find out, I was trying to touch base with him. He ended up coming home a day early because of what was going on, and he had great difficulty renting a car to get home because none of us wants to take public transportation anymore because we don't want to be infected. So the evening of St. Patrick's Day, the four of us sat down and had a really long, hard talk. And there were other people on trail who were leaving. And to that point, we had already started to distance ourselves from the other groups who were hiking out there. We started to choose tent sites over pavilions. And we thought, okay, well, we can address some things. And the ATC, the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, had already issued a statement asking thru hikers not only to suspend their hike, but the last sentence of it stated for thru hikers to go home. The very controversial message, it contradicted itself. There were several paragraphs that stated how you can take care of yourself while on trail, avoiding the shelters, avoiding privies, hand sanitizer, proper hand washing, and things of that nature. So we thought, okay, well, we'll continue to push forward because we felt we were being safe. So that evening, with everything that our families were making us aware of, we actually began to become a little worried. Could we be stranded from home? Could I potentially be stranded and not be able to get home to Pennsylvania, whatever form of transportation? So we all had a long, talk with our families. We talked about them. Some of those were getting concerned. My family wasn't worried about me because, typically I can take care of myself in situations. However, I'm still vulnerable to what's going around. And my family is very prepared at home with plenty of food, supplies, things of that nature. That is just how we are. We're always prepared for not pandemics, but for shortages and things of that nature. So we decided, hey, this is real. We need to get off trail. Not only could we carry the disease or the virus, we could potentially be, our main concern was when we went into towns of being infected by the virus by somebody else, one of our resupply points. So we made a very, very difficult decision. I was in denial at first. I did not want to come home. I wanted to keep walking. And I had to sleep on it. So the following morning, Wednesday, the 18th, we decided that we were going to depart. And fortunately, Dreiker's family was able to take Random with him so he could make travel arrangements. And Random's wife works in the medical profession, and she was unable to come because she would have to be quarantined. And so he needed to make arrangements for family. And fortunately for me, I traveled north with the Rev's family to Virginia. And luckily, when we arrived in Abingdon, I was able to make an online reservation for a rental car, and I drove home. So in short, that is how things ended. And we didn't treat that as being final. We agreed we were going to take a break, and we were going to come home and kind of regroup, let things blow over. And we still, to this day, plan on heading back to Sam's Gap. That is where we came out, mile number 319.7. I can assure you, the morning that we hiked out that last 2.5 miles, it was the toughest 2.5 miles of my entire hike. And I can't tell you how tough that was. So come home, get to see my family, but I came home to immediately prepare to return. I came home, switched over to my warmer weather gear. I've already treated all my clothing with permethrin. I have 11 resupply boxes ready to go to ship to me, waiting on a green light, waiting on hope so we can return. So I want to go ahead and discuss two primary scenarios, because there's the reality of it all is there's still hikers on trail. My classmates, the class of 2020. There's still some folks out there, and it's a very complex situation. Some folks are stranded. Some folks are from other countries, and they're unable to travel home to where they came from. I met a young couple who they got rid of their apartment, all their personal belongings, everything, their furniture, everything, so they could do this hike and be able to afford to do this. So it's not as easy as many people may think to just simply walk off the trail. And they're my classmates, they're my brothers and sisters, they're the class of 2020, and sadly a lot of people have chosen to say some very unkind things, about the class of 2020. And they're my brothers and sisters, and I'm not going to condemn them. And if they need any help whatsoever, you guys can reach out to me. I'll help any way I can to try to help you guys, get off trail or to get home, if I can try to help you. But I want to discuss two key scenarios as to why I made my decision. People are concerned about us infecting trail towns, and I personally feel that the real threat is being infected by a trail town. But really, it doesn't matter which way you look at it. Infection is a concern. It doesn't matter which way. Both ways are wrong. So the first scenario I want to talk about is when we arrived in Hot Springs, and we stayed at Sunnybrook Inn. It is a historic hostel. It is owned by a gentleman named Elmer, who successfully hiked the AT in 1976. He's in his 80s. And what you'll find in most of these trail towns and these businesses and these hostels, many people hike the trail and they want to be close to the trail and the people who will continue to hike. So many people invest their money, just like Chica and Sunsets. They turn their home into a hostel. I had breakfast at their dinner table, this close at their dinner table. That is how personal and the love that's shared by the business owners and the hiking community and the trail towns along the way, the hostels. So, coronavirus affects older people. So again, we arrived in Hot Springs, and here I am staying in Elmer's home, in his home, not staying in a bunkhouse. I traveled to Smoky Mountain Diner. I traveled to Dollar General, Hillbilly Market, the gas station across the street, the tobacco store for fine cigars, Bluff Mountain Outfitters. I believe it's called Iron Horse Station or something like that. Real nice restaurant there. Spent time in the library using Wi-Fi. I spent time at the visitor center. You get where I'm coming from? I stopped in all of those places, and I came back to Elmer's, as well as all of the hikers that were there, probably about a dozen of us. And the following morning, we sat at Elmer's breakfast table with him at the head of the table. Think about that for a second, and how that could affect Elmer, being an older gentleman with a potentially weakened immune system. And speaking of immune systems, we're talking about a hiker who a lot of people have been asking. I lost 29 pounds in 4.5 weeks. Hiking all day, limited sleep, limited calories, usually poor food, weakened immune system myself. Think about that for a second. Think about how vulnerable we all were. If you can't grasp that, scenario number 2 that I want to talk about is something we're all much more familiar with. And my good friend Salgi brought this up to me this morning. We're all familiar with norovirus. People say they're safe on the trail. We're distancing ourselves. We are basically in a safe bubble. Every single year, norovirus spreads like a forest fire through the trail, taking out everything in its path, every hiker in its path, and hikers go to town and hostels close. That's the history and reality of norovirus. Now, make it coronavirus that can kill. It's pretty simple to figure out. Again, I will not abandon my classmates that are on trail. I'm here to do everything I can to help them, encourage them. We all want to complete our journeys. But the class of 2020, that I'm so very proud of. I couldn't wait to get this badge, and I'm still proud of it. To me, this is almost like a badge of honor, and anyone who has through hiked the AT will tell you that's what it means to them. I'm not giving up hope. But I honestly feel that the sooner that we can demonstrate to the ATC and to the trail community that we can not only be safe ourselves, but we can also protect the trail and protect and preserve the trail community that is our family. And I have 1,800 miles of family that I want to meet. We have to protect them. And, class of 2020 is going to get down in history, whether we like it or not. We can get down as the most feared class in history, and we've been called some horrible names by a lot of people. Or we can go down in history as the most loved class of the entire AT. And that choice is not for anyone else to make but ourselves. I want to complete this journey, but I want to do it right. I'm home, I'm safe, and I'm waiting for the green light. There's Sobos who are waiting, there's flip-floppers who are waiting, and we're waiting for the green light to complete our journeys. It's not over for the class of 2020, but we got to help the people who are out there, and we got to take care of each other. We're the hiking community. This is what it is. So I just wanted to share that. I apologize for the long video. I want to thank everybody for helping me make it 319.7 miles, because without the support of my family and my friends and my subscribers that I did not expect, you guys have made this possible for me. I never had a day that I wanted to quit, because if I ever questioned myself, I always went to the encouragement that everyone has given me. You know, the unconditional love everyone has given me, and I'm not finished yet. Got a long way to go. I'm grateful for every mile that I've been able to complete. I'm grateful for you guys. So I have 5 other videos that I need to release that will complete what I've done so far. I'm calling it Chapter 1. And I plan to begin releasing those videos on Sunday, March 29th. And a lot of people, when they hit the air, there's going to be a lot of immediate thumbs down, because people are going to think I'm still on trail. I'm going to try to notate it that I'm not. But what you can help me with is watch those videos and give me a thumbs up, because they're part of my diary, and you guys are a part of that too. So I will talk to you again soon, and check out those videos, and I'm looking forward to getting back there. Thanks everybody for enduring such a long video. Take care, everyone.